So, Captain Marvel is okay. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just okay. Personally, I find it an odd choice for Marvel, and to be clear, I like Captain Marvel as a character. I think she's pretty cool. She's also boring as hell, and has the emotional depth of a wooden plank, which is what her character is, wooden. But I like her design, and her powers. Her character's just really bland. She can be surmised as emotionally distant and a rule follower, and only those two things. In the comics, the most emotional and, well, I guess interesting she gets is when she's in a relationship with Rhodey, aka War Machine. And, well, spoiler alert, not really, it's been out for years, Rhodey gets fucking wrecked by Thanos and dies. And Carol gets fucked up by this, and ever since then, she's either hot or cold. She's mad about Rhodey's death, or it's not even on her mind. She's emotional, or she has the same level of emotion as Data from Star Trek The Next Generation. So I think it's interesting Marvel decided to make a movie on her, and yeah, I know it's because they need someone with the power of 100 nukes for Endgame, but also, why choose a character like this and go the way they did with it? I'll go a bit more into this, but she doesn't have her memories. None of them. So they take a character that already is flat, and they make her flatter. Why? You know, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, okay, you're just another dude, bro, who thinks they're woman bad. Oh, all for your information. I liked Captain Marvel, but it's not a great movie. I don't want you clicking off right now, so let's talk about the good stuff first. Things this movie does right. Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Jude Law, Brie Larson. I think I'm one of the only people to like Brie's performance, although I gotta be honest, she's not the best out of the cast, despite being the title character. But okay, whatever. I liked her in it. Not every scene is good, and a lot of it is a conflicting mood for... What the fuck am I... This is supposed to be good. This is supposed to be good parts. Oh, Jesus. Brie Larson is a better Carol than in the comics, okay? She has more heart and more depth. It's actually interesting. They actually did something good there with it. Not great, but good. It was a good part. Samuel L. Jackson, however, he was fantastic. His de-aging stuff makes him look amazing, and none of his emotions are masked by clunky CGI. It looks so realistic, you'll struggle to remember that, hey, that's a 70-year-old man. What the heck? Ben Mendelsohn and Jude Law also did a good job. I was happy to see that. I like both of them, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that they both did a good job of what they were given. But there's not much I can say since they're important to the story, and this is supposed to be spoiler-free, but they were good. Speaking of story, though, it was fine. The jokes worked a fair bit of the time, better than Ant-Man and the Wasp at least. But most of all, I really liked how the female characters were written, specifically that none of them feel defined by the mishaps in their lives and the bad in them. Most people don't wallow in the bad forever, and instead view life as a more complicated set of grays. Especially for a movie like this, where I was kind of worried it would be a lot of very, very lowbrow pandering. It wasn't. And you might not like it, but I thought for Marvel at least it was done well. Nothing super new or anything, but technically a first for Marvel. But now onto the other stuff, the fun stuff, the bad. The tone of this movie is horribly inconsistent. I mean, it's horrible. It's kind of like one of my videos where I messed up the script a little bit, so it's like I go from one point to the next point. You'll go from one sequence that's serious and looks really good. I mean, it's so good at times I was wondering like, wait, this is the same director? Okay, alright. And it looks really good. And then you'll go to another scene that feels like it's from generic Marvel movie number 20. But unfortunately, most of these scenes take place with Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, who despite being more endearing in this movie, just is bland. So those great looking scenes are also marred by Carol Danvers, which again is better than the comics, but that just really tells you how bad of a character she is at times. Like listen, Brie Larson does a good job in those scenes. They're good, but when they aren't, it's bland and bad. And I keep saying bland, but that's what it is. I blame all of it on the directors for how they went about this, because it's like she's playing two characters. And for someone like Carol Danvers, taking her memory so she's doubly removed from her emotions is just a really, really bad idea. Why? I would never do that if I were in charge of this movie. Frankly, I would double down on the emotions. I would make it clear how, human she is in contrast to the other people around her. The aliens show her compassion, focus on that instead of how the movie did it, and they kind of tiptoe around it, trying to avoid that stuff, But of course, I didn't make this movie because I'm 18 years old and I'm not allowed to make movies because I'm not rich. Moving on from that colossal mishap of the main character, need I remind you, the story is not at all gripping. I think it's done well, but it's like an episode of a TV show. You're kind of into it, you think there's some neat points, but it's not a movie plot. It's a fast but what first act, a plotting and mildly informative second act, and then throw everything else at you third act. It's structured like a Lincoln Logs house that was sealed with a glue stick and chucked into a dryer machine and then taken out and said, "This is a stable home. Please buy it." It's a movie that, while recording this, I'm legitimately struggling to fully recall because it was just that vapid. There's not really any neat story mechanics or anything that really makes it exceptional. The flashback scenes are dealt with in kind of a haphazard way. When they are used, they aren't really poignant to the character. There's a couple where they are, but we aren't actually seeing her perspective, or maybe we are. They don't really explain if she's remembering at the time or not. It comes across more as a narrative structure, but one that isn't recurring throughout. That it only comes up once or twice instead of one where we continually see allusions to what she does now, what she did then, memories coming back. There are one or two scenes like that, but overall this movie really shies away from all of that, which again I find interesting because this isn't a thing normal with the character. So doing these unique things, but then also simultaneously deciding we're not gonna actually do them that unique is a weird choice. The only other problem with Captain Marvel is the CGI. It's bad. It's very bad. Throughout the movie, there's this cat named Goose, you know, the one in the trailers. Well, for whatever reason, half of the scenes with the cat are CGI, and bad CGI too. Like, take you out of the moment bad. I came to see superheroes, not cats versus dogs. The CGI for Captain Marvel herself at times was bad as well and felt subpar compared to what you normally expect from Marvel. Most of those scenes where it is bad is when they are in space, and I think they just got in over their head. The scenes where she's using her powers and it's on Earth or inside a spaceship aren't bad at all. It looks pretty neat, but whenever we do see her in space itself, it is kind of jarring because it looks far less like a movie and far more like a video game cutscene. Oh, I almost forgot. Jesus, this was a whole thing in the movie too, but there's two scenes in the film where Carol is in a completely CGI world, and it literally looks like fucking Spy Kids 3. You remember that movie? Remember how horrible that looked? That's what this looks like. I was sitting in the theater thinking to myself, who chose this? Why would you choose this? They established this thing can look like whatever it wants. Why this? You know, here, so let me paint an image for you. A completely silvery gray room with lots of lens flare and only 2 actors. It's horrible, just horrible. They could have done so much more. And again, this was not a thing in the comics what they did here. So I'm very confused by the creative decisions. They could have been neat. They could have been actually really neat. But the moment they say what it's about to do, and then when you see it, I wanted to slap myself in the face because I was hoping I was dreaming. In 2019, CGI like this is just weird. In any case, the good in Captain Marvel is outweighed by the bad. But it's a lot of technical issues if you ignore Carol Danvers herself. There was some stuff I really liked, such as the Skrull makeup and the sort of snappy comedy used at times. It made the movie feel a bit more real and lively, but at the same point, we go from those scenes to very emotionally removed scenes. A great deal of this movie just didn't seem to mesh well with itself. It seemed at odds with what type of movie it was trying to present. Is this a superhero movie? Is this a space movie? Is this a spy movie? Is this an origin story? What type of movie is this? And unfortunately, it does all of them poorly by putting them all into one thing. I give Captain Marvel a 5. It's just okay. It's largely unimpressive and honestly should have been a lot better, especially for something advertised as much as it was. For what it is and what it did do, it does miss the mark, but it's not horrible. I can't call it a bad movie. I can't call it a horrible movie. It's just one that's kind of If you want to see it before you see Infinity War, you kind of have to see it, I guess. Probably why they released it this soon, because they know nobody would try and buy it on DVD. It's not a waste of your money. If you're seeing it with friends, it's a fine thing to do, and just missed the mark in a lot of areas. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you like this video. Let me know how you thought about Captain Marvel in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, you know, all that stuff that helps me get more views. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can check out my Patreon, Twitch channel, or my merch store. Merch store has amazing merch, as you would expect from the best YouTuber on the planet. Patreon, you can directly support me, and on Twitch, I'll be live streaming almost every day, and you can directly subscribe there using Amazon Prime, or you can tip, or you can just watch me make a fool of myself playing video games. It's a fun time. So thank you everybody, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. Huge thank you to Patreon supporters Anonymous and Matt Porter. I really appreciate it.